So hello again and welcome to the ramp room. Welcome to another video on our cheapest 911 in the country, possibly the world. We're going to be doing and covering unwrapping the car today. We've already done some of that, so we're going to splice in a video and then we're going to try and show you a little bit about how we're going about unwrapping it and how successful or otherwise we've been. We may cover some other bits and pieces on the car as well. Hopefully you enjoy. If you do, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much. So as I said, we're going to be doing some unwrapping today. We've removed the rear clamshell cover, the two bumpers. We've already done some test dewrapping on a panel of the car that we're not going to be reusing. The reason for that is that it's got rust, not only on the edge, but where 996's normally rust we think has been exaggerated by the fact that the wrap has been pulled around there as well and has retained the water. So we've actually got a replacement Arctic Silver deck lid on its way with everything already attached, so hopefully that should bolt straight on. Covering back to the wrap that we showed in previous videos, it's looking pretty tired. I think we've already spliced in some unwrapping footage already, so we'll go around to the side of the car that we've started on, and you'll see that we're quite some way into dewrapping or wrap removal on the vehicle. We've had a few things happen so far. Half as expected. On the lower part of the car where the silver paint's applied over the stone chip, some of the paint has come off. That's not too big a deal. We've got a nice line that we can mask up to there. So we'll repaint the stone chip area of the car. More annoyingly, again, not completely unexpected, is we've found some areas of the car that have been repainted, and this becomes a problem. So for instance, you can see here where the lacquer is peeled, where we've removed the wrap, and the reason for that is that the car has been repainted at some point. Very difficult to see, but it's been masked up to the rubber. I think you can just see it there, and where the lacquer ends by the rubber, it's picked up on the edge of it and pulled it off. Again, not the end of the world. What I think we're going to probably show in another video is where we're going to try and take the lacquer off, wet sand the lacquer back where it's peeled away, another section there. And the worst section we've got is actually on the front wing. We think the front wing has been completely repainted because literally the lacquer just completely fell off the front wing using the same method of removal that we'd used on the rest of the car. You know, for instance, on the rest of the door is absolutely fine. We're right in the middle of dewrapping the bonnet at the moment. Touch wood, so far we've had no lacquer come off the bonnet, which I'm quite surprised about, because bonnets are normally the section of the car that are repainted for stone chips. So we were sort of expecting problems, if you like, with the wrap coming off. We've got the wrap to come off around the windscreen frame still. We may have to take some of the rubber trim off. It has been done quite well, and it does go all the way under the rubber trim. We have dewrapped most of the inside of the door shut. We've got a little bit to do where it goes under the trim there, and a little bit to do where it's actually the door latches have been off. And then we've got some fiddly bits to do around the inner recesses of the door underneath the door, because it was all done. And around the striker plate, we have actually started doing that. We've got that rubber trim off, so we've started doing that. It was actually done in 2 sections. It was done around here and ended, and then this was a new section where they did the inside of the door shut. But it's actually been applied very well, and it is taking quite a bit of effort to get it off. We've got Smurf skin lying around on the floor everywhere. It's a little bit like skinning Smurfs. So we're going to carry on with the bonnet, and then we will update you when we've got a little bit further with it. Okay, so a little bit of update as we go. We've de-wrapped, unwrapped. I'll have to decide what we're going to say. We've de-wrapped approximately half of the bonnet. I'm touching a lot of wood and I'm crossing my fingers. So far we haven't had any lacquer peel on the bonnet, which would be nice. We're using exactly the same process as we did on the wing, so it does lead me to believe there's been some poor paint work on the wing at some point. It'll be interesting when we get to the other wing later on this afternoon, what happens with that, but that's an update on where we are. Okay, that's the bonnet entirely de-wrapped with 0 lacquer peel. We have learned a few things as we've gone along, so you know, maybe the wing was somewhat our fault. I think we'll see when we get onto the next wing, because we have learned quite a few interesting tips that we'll pass on at the end of the video as we've gone along with this. But as it stands at the moment, we've managed to de-wrap the bonnet with no lacquer peel. A lot of lacquer peel on the one front wing, but like I say, we've learned a few things. We're going to put some tips up at the end, and hopefully it'll help anybody else undertaking something like this. And again, we'll carry on now and we'll update you as we go. Okay, this is the second time I tried to shoot this video. I ran out of battery the first time. So we're going to do a warts and all walk round now that we've largely de-wrapped the car. We've still got the area around the windscreen frame to do. Frankly, I've run out of patience and run out of skin on my fingers to carry that on today. So we're going to start at the front of the car, and I'm going to tell you everything that we found in detail. So first of all, as I mentioned earlier on, the bonnet, the wrap has come off really, really well. Kind of surprised me, because bonnets often get repainted for stone chips and sometimes just sort of blown over or blown in. So I was really pleased with that. One big flat panel that's okay. Less pleasing is the wing. Clearly it's behaved differently to all the other panels on the car. The clear coat, the lacquer, has just jumped off, and we've done everything we could to try and avoid that happening, but it just carried on doing it. So I think it's probably been repainted, and maybe not repainted that well. So that isn't the end of the world, because there's no paint off, it's only clear coat, and we're going to carefully wet sand that back to colour and then re-lacquer it. Similar story with the door, although not so bad. The door's been repainted. We found a masking line up against the rubber, so the rubbers hadn't been off when it was painted, so it was masked up to the rubber. And then as you pull the wrap off, no matter how careful you are, it picks up that masked line and pulls the clear coat off. Again, not terrible. We're going to wet sand it back to colour and re-clear coat. One interesting area is the sills. So the sills are painted over stone chip, as you can probably just see the texture paint, and it started coming off, which I kind of expected, because it's not going to adhere as well to the texture paint. So we changed the approach slightly and with a bit more heat, and we managed to leave most of the paint on the rest of the sill. It's kind of immaterial. We're going to mask it up to that line, stone chip line, and repaint it. Rear quarter, little bit annoying, because we ended up with one area of pull right on a high spot. And what I've noticed when you're removing the wrap is that areas where the wrap is stretched to go around curves, it kind of grabs the paint as you take it off, and those are the areas you have to be really, really careful in. We're not de-wrapping the engine lid, because I've got a new Arctic, well, not a new, but a good used Arctic Silver engine lid, complete, coming with spoiler and everything. That is on the way. Back round to the rear quarter, similar story to the quarter on the other side. We have some lacquer peel from the edge and some from the edge on the arch and a tiny little bit of rust. So we're going to paint the rear quarter. And the reason we're going to paint the rear quarter is that we pulled some paint and clear coat off the door. I think the door's been repainted because the only two places that's happened where the paint has actually come off and it's down to the primer is where I think the car's been repainted. And the other place that's happened is on right in the corner of the front bumper. Again, very unusual. It's pulled the paint and the lacquer off, and we haven't had that anywhere else apart from those two places. Both mirrors came off fine. Door handles came up pretty well. You know, the car looks a lot better for being silver. So it's going to be painted down this side, which is a lot easier with a cab than it is with a coupe, because you don't have to get into the door at all. We're going to try and get a really good paint match. The painter that we use has got a great paint scheme, so we're hoping to get a good enough paint match to not have to paint the bonnet. We've got away with that quite a few times, so really good edge-to-edge paint match. And on the other side, we're not going to paint anything other than the sill up to the line of the texture paint, the stone chip paint. We're just going to save that by wet sanding it back to colour and re-lacquering the whole side of the car. So not the end of the world. You know, that is the reality of a 20-something-year-old car that's had paint in various places over the years to various degrees of quality, that has had a wrap on it for maybe 6 or 7 years, and for 3 of those years it sat baking in the sun. And you can see that because of how dull and how matte the wrap has gone. It's not a matte wrap. We have started removing the wrap from the rear clamshell. This panel has been really, really difficult. It's the only panel where we've had significant glue staying on the panel, and the wrap really doesn't want to come off. So I'm going to have to leave that for another day because literally my fingers are falling to pieces. And we also did start having a look at the front bumper. That bumper has previously been painted. It used to be red. There's the evidence of the old colour there. So I haven't got high hopes of this coming out well. So I think we're going to end up painting the front bumper. We'll see how the rear one comes out. That looks like original paint. So we might be better with that one. And yeah, we had a little test go on the engine lid, but we don't need to complete that because we've got, like I say, we've got a new one coming. So yeah, that kind of wraps it up. That is the reality of it. Warts and all, I'm actually fairly happy because, you know, we didn't find any accident damage that had just been filled and sanded back, which is sometimes the reason for a wrap being applied. So I'm actually relatively pleased with the outcome. And the next video, hopefully we should start making some progress towards actually getting the thing on the road. So thanks very much. Okay, that's the end of the video for today. Long day of de-wrapping, setting fire to my fingers, wrapping my hands in near molten vinyl wrap. So I'm going to call it a day. It's been good fun. I think I'm actually pretty pleased with how it's worked out. I'll just turn around and we'll get the carnage of what's been going on in the workshop in behind. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this kind of content, you're enjoying the videos, give us a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe if you can, and I will try very hard to make sure that the next video does not take as long to get up as this one. Thanks very much for watching.